Hey, everybody, we are live with our Association of Paranormal Study webinar. We're just going to take a few moments just to make sure that we're all good to go. As this is my first time using Restream, so I just want to make sure that we are set up. And it looks like we are live on Facebook. We are good to go.
All right. Yeah, Restream is pretty good. Restream, I wrote a bit about Restream on Twitch for Dummies, and it's a good service. It is OSI. I'm sorry, OSI. It's OBS with really good training wheels. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Wonderful. All right, I'm going to do my introduction, and then we're going to set off. So formally, for the introduction, hi everyone, and welcome to our APS webinar series. We are so excited to return and kick off a new season of conversations with some of the most fascinating voices in the paranormal field. For those who may not know me, my name is Ted Willis, and I'm a part of the team at the Association of Paranormal Study. I'm actually the assistant director under Alex Matsuo. I'll be your host for tonight's webinar. I'll also be monitoring the live chat. So feel free to say hi, ask questions, and share your thoughts throughout the evening. This year, we're bringing you some engaging conversations, deep dives into investigations, and insights from seasoned experts. So be sure to stay tuned for announcements about upcoming guests. We've got some great names coming your way. But tonight, I'm absolutely excited to welcome T. Morris as our first guest of the season. T is a wonderful investigator and a friend of mine. He's an accomplished author, podcast host, and the founding member and lead investigator of Old Spirits Investigations, now in its 4th season on YouTube, which I'm very excited about. His investigations have taken him to some incredibly active historic locations, including Belgrove Plantation, Crescent State Correctional Institute, the Bird Theater, and the Octagon Mansion at 585, just to name a few. So whether you're joining us tonight on Facebook or YouTube, we're glad you're here and you're in for a great evening. So without further ado, please welcome our guest tonight, T. Morris.
You missed one thing in that intro, Ted. I'll tell you what it is. Because of Meta swiping all of my books and using it to train their AI, I'm now calling myself an AI developer. So that I'm putting into my arsenal. I'm gonna make lemons out of this. I'm gonna make lemonade out of these freaking lemons. I swear to God, I am. Thank you, Ted. That was very. By the way, everybody, get used to Ted's face, because if you go and you join us this Saturday night, 9 p.m. for our season 4 launch, yeah, you're gonna see Ted all over it, because we're launching with the USS North Carolina. I could not sit on that for season 5. I said, nope, we're going to kick off with this. That was such a good time, Ted. That was such a good time.
It was a great night. It was a great night. Yeah. All right, T, I'm going to go off the video and mute, and I'll be monitoring the chat. The floor is yours.
The floor is mine. So I'm going to start this just as I would be doing my webinar, or I would do my seminar. Unfortunately, I went looking for my seminar that I presented at the APS event in Gettysburg, and sadly, I couldn't find it. So I am batting 1,000 right now for today, because it's been a day. But the thing I'm here to talk about is the value of redundancy. This whole topic started off with a debunker many paranormal investigators are familiar with, and I swear by him. I think he's a terrific debunker, and I think he's a terrific individual. It's a guy named Beardo of Beardo Gets Scared. And unpopular opinion, I am of the opinion that debunkers are necessary, and they make us better paranormal investigators. If you have a problem with debunk, now there are ways people debunk. Let's be honest, there are ways people debunk, and just saying that's BS is not debunking. And I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole as much as I want to, but he actually inspired this talk, which is the value of redundancy, because he basically said, don't need all the gadgets, don't need all the bells and whistles. I've got a camera with a perfectly good microphone. That should be enough. And I'm here to say it isn't. I'm of the mindset that if you don't have redundancies in place, one, you are setting yourself up for failure as a paranormal investigator. 2, you're not going far enough as a paranormal investigator. And finally, 3, if you have redundancies in place, it's harder to debunk the evidence that you bring forward, or the footage that you bring forward as evidence. So where do we begin? Well, let's talk a little bit about what I define as redundancy. For example, when I go into a site, I will have my camera, and I will have I will make sure that the microphones are working on said camera. So that's the first one. But then I have a second camera. Now, even if you are not doing a YouTube series like I am doing, it's great to have multiple angles. But the second reason I have a camera there, not just for the secondary angle, but it's also so that I have a second microphone in play. So I have a camera in one location, I have a camera in another location. Then I have my audio recorder, something like this. This is an H4n Pro, and it's made by Zoom Technologies. I nicknamed this one Sonic, and I plant Sonic smack dab in the middle of a room wherever I'm at. And where this all comes into play is I have the audio going, I have 2 video cameras going, and then I also live stream my investigations. Live streaming investigations, I think, are a great redundancy, because it's actually showing people what real, honest to God paranormal investigation is. I just got into a conversation with a friend of mine who I have taken on several investigations. We actually have a special presentation coming up on Old Spirits. It's a special collaboration that we hosted together at a place called Linville Manor. It's going to be a lot of fun. I will make sure that Ted knows when it's coming up so that you all can be informed. But he was talking about specifically about Sam and Colby, and I have very strong opinions about what they do. They are wonderful paranormal entertainers, but when it comes to real paranormal investigation, obviously it's not what they do. And if that is your jam, go for it. Enjoy it. Have a great time with it. But real paranormal investigation is going to be hours and hours and hours of nothing really happening. It's those 5 minutes it's a lot like fishing. It's hours of nothing happening and then 5 minutes of absolute pandemonium. And for me, most of the time that pandemonium takes place afterwards, when you get home and you sit down and you start listening and you start reviewing all of the footage that you captured. But where the redundancy comes into play is with live streaming, you actually show everyone what you are doing. It's an open transparency approach to paranormal investigation, and it's live, warts and all. And I'm here for it. I am here for it. So that's another redundancy. And what these redundancies do is that if you catch an EVP, for example, and this happened to me at the old hospital on College Hill, I had 4 different devices capture the same EVP at the same time. And where's the value in that? Well, one, you've now corroborated this with 4 devices as opposed to 1. And when people talk about the best evidence they've ever captured using a DR60, for example, and that's the only thing that captures said EVP, I'm like, what about your cameras? Did they capture the EVP? What about another recorder from this century? Did that capture anything? When you have multiple devices in play, and then you can capture the same EVP at the same time, it's a little harder to say, well, that EVP really isn't, or to debunk it saying, well, that EVP could easily be a hiccup in the card. You know, you might be recording on the card over and over and over again, or the card itself is defective. But if you're telling me that my iPhone, that Sonic, that 2 cameras that all caught the same EVP, all have the same defect in their memory card at the same time on the same date, that gets a little harder to prove. And so when it comes to redundancy in the field, I think it is essential that you have a variety of ways to capture data. Now, does this mean that setting up, striking, all this stuff takes longer? Yes, that's the trade-off. You got to have a slightly stronger, a stronger back. You've got to have a really good backpack to carry all your gear in. You've got to make sure that you're keeping track of said gear, because you really don't want to leave one of these behind by accident. But I will tell you a quick story about that. When there was one time that I was out actually with Alex, and we went to a place called Annenberg Manor. Oh, sorry, not Annenberg Manor. I can't call it that. Annenberg Mansion. And I had this running while Alex and myself and Chris and my wife Pip all were walking around the outside of the Annenberg Mansion in Manassas, Virginia. We went out afterwards, had a lovely dinner, went home. Everything was fine. And no kidding, at 3 a.m, I bolted upright in my bed. And of course, Pip felt it, and she said, "What?" And I said, "I forgot my H4N. It is still at Annenberg." So at 3 a.m, we drove to Manassas, and I went to pick up my recorder. I cannot express upon you how terrified I was pulling up to that mansion, because it's one thing when you see the mansion, it's a gorgeous mansion. But at 3 a.m, pitch dark, it just felt extremely imposing. And sure enough, as we're pulling up to the mansion, and we're going around the fountain, that was where I saw the glowing lights of my H4N. And I bolted out of that car as fast as I could, bolted right back to it. And I still haven't listened to that audio. I need to sit down and listen to the audio. But that was that's one of the things you got to remember. If you're going to have redundancies in play, you also have to make sure to have the time, make the time to set up and strike. You don't want to impose on your host. You don't want to necessarily impose on your team. You got to make sure that you collect everything and you get out there. So another value of redundancy is, as well as being harder to debunk, it also becomes the advantage of having four or more devices that are capturing data is they can actually help you deduce where the sound was located. Going back to the example of the old hospital on College Hill, it was a simple no. That was the thing. It was a simple no. And on the two cameras, you can get a perspective of how close it was to how close it was to our recorders. However, when I went to my wife's iPhone, which was also recording at that moment, the no was right next to her. So whatever this was, it was the closest microphone it was to Pip. And redundancy gives you the ability to not only figure out where a sound is coming from, not only makes it harder to debunk, but it also validates a lot of the research that you're putting into this. It is very frustrating when you capture something that is absolutely choice and you have nothing to corroborate it with. It could have been an artifact. It could be a defect in your memory card. But having the ability of going from device to device to device to device and saying we caught this at the same time, whether it's something visual or whether it's something audio, that is absolutely essential, because particularly with audio, pickups are not consistent from device to device, from camera to camera. And a great way of using redundancy to debunk something, what happened at Crescent at the Crescent SCI. Phil Rossi and I were there. This was one of our earliest. We learned in a trial by fire. I want to say this was maybe our 4th or 5th investigation, and we were in Crescent SCI for roughly 10 hours. It was an amazing experience. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Just astounding. There was this one thing that Phil was very excited about. He was telling me about this EVP that he caught, and it was a nasty EVP, and it basically said "bite me." That's what he heard. He heard "bite me." I listened to the EVP, and I was pretty convinced that it was in fact Bite Me, because it sounded like that on his camera and it sounded like that on my camera. Then I went to the H4. The thing about the H4, the pickups on these are absolutely stellar. A lot of times what I will do is I will record on my cameras, especially if I have a group like we did when we were at the USS North Carolina. But I will have this running, and I will basically take this audio, sync it up with everything else, and then I will use the audio from here, because the pickups are good on my XA11s, but on this the pickups are stellar. These pickups, they recorded a sound of a piece of plaster being ground underfoot. Is that possible? Can you hear an EVP and then debunk it with another pickup? Yeah, you can. And I've done it many times. It drives Phil nuts. He hates it. Absolutely hates it. But this is what we need to be doing as investigators. One of the other values you get from redundancy, apart from corroborating the stuff that you've caught, making it more difficult to debunk something, or even easier to debunk something, is it also offers us as paranormal investigators a bit of validation, validity in what we do. I'm the first one to say it, that when it comes to paranormal investigation, anyone can do it. It's a bit like it's a bit like being a gentleman scientist from the 19th century. And the truth of the matter is, it's all based on theories. And everybody has different approaches and different theories. But the more scientific you can make something, the harder it is to just pass it off as pseudoscience. Now, I'd be the first person to say that after 4 years of paranormal investigation, do I think that that I have proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that ghosts exist and there's an afterlife? I can honestly say no. I have not proven that. But using a scientific method, using a scientific approach, a critical approach to capturing footage, to going to a location, to try and deduce what is happening there, has some weird stuff happen to me over these past 4 years. Yes, there are things that I cannot explain. There are things my wife cannot explain. And together we have experienced things that we just cannot easily dismiss. We have dismissed quite a few things. We have gone out of our way to debunk a lot of our own stuff. And I feel like that is a trait of a paranormal investigator, that if you cannot, or if you refuse to debunk your own findings, you are doing half the job of a paranormal investigator. So I rely very heavily on redundancies. Do I now, full transparency, do I, when I'm putting together one of my episodes for Old Spirits, do I always have redundancies in place? No. Tonight, for example, I am putting the final touches on our investigation at Annenberg, and I was trying to solve a technical issue with my audio. And in the process of trying to fix something that went wrong with my audio, I discovered an EVP that I missed. And I found it on 2 devices. We had 3 recording, but I had 2 devices that I found it. The third one, I didn't hear it. Now, the argument that I have on this is, Phil was standing right next to the camera. So he was drowning out anything that you could hear in the background. And this was one of those EVPs, as you know, if you are an active paranormal investigator, or you're active in this field, you know the kind of pardon me, it's a bit of cat fur. You know the kind of EVP I'm talking about. It's an EVP that happens in the middle of someone's sentence. It's underneath their voice. You can clearly hear it underneath the person's voice. And I could only corroborate it on one other device. For me, that's not enough. But am I featuring in the upcoming show? Absolutely, because it's a wonderful catch. However, if someone were to come to me and say, well, I think I can debunk that, then I'd be like, well, have at, feel free, because I would like to know why it was captured clearly on 2, but I just couldn't hear it on Phil. Was Phil too close to his camera? Did he literally drown out the EVP? Because it was a whisper. And where I get frustrated with myself is that I did have an H4n. I just had it in the wrong recording mode. I was having a kind of a bad night that night. But that's another thing too. Redundancies also help you out, not just in corroborating evidence and bringing a sense of validity to what we do as paranormal investigators. It's also a great backup in case something goes wrong with your camera. Now, I'm going to stress that again. If something goes wrong with your camera or equipment, I am not jumping right on the bandwagon concerning the paranormal futzing with recording equipment, whether it is your audio recorders or your video recorders. Yes, it is bizarre when you have a fully charged battery and it goes immediately to half. Now, personally, before I became a paranormal investigator, I'm also bringing what I'm bringing as a paranormal investigator to the table is over 2 decades worth of podcasting experience, both audio and video. So I know what it's like when batteries go bad. Nothing paranormal to do with it. It's just wear and tear on that battery. And it could say, yeah, I'm fully charged. You get out there, you're ready to record something. You look down and you realize you've only got 1 bar left on that battery. And that has nothing to do with the paranormal. It has everything to do with technology. And one of the things that I have had my bacon saved several times with this, the pickups on your iPhone and the pickups from a stream. Well, if you're streaming from your iPhone or your mobile device. The pickups in these devices are absolutely phenomenal. And not only have I caught some choice EVPs with this, but I've also managed to save productions. Because I have been live streaming the episode, and of course I've lost some things as well, and that is the what I would say is the final the final bit of redundancy, the value of redundancy that you want to pull from is having that backup in case something does fail. As I said earlier, I discovered the good news was I discovered an EVP. The bad news is that I was dealing with an audio issue that, had it not happened, I would have had my afternoon. But I've been spending this afternoon trying to fix this odd anomaly that happened in my audio. And again, I don't think it's paranormal. It's just technology. Whether you're dealing with Adobe Audition or whether you're dealing with Reaper or you're dealing with Audacity, when you're dealing with digital media of any kind, you basically have to cross your fingers and hope that nothing goes wrong. But again, redundancies in place. I have my stream as a backup. I have the video and the onboard audio may not be the same quality as say an external recorder or Rode microphones, but they are still there. They are there as your backup so that you don't have zero to bring to a production. You still have something you can work with. So in conclusion, I would say this is that when people, as much as I love Beardo, as much as I love how he debunks some things that are being passed off as paranormal investigation, I would say, yes, he's right in a lot of ways. I have seen him debunk some incredible evidence that has made me go, that's pretty legit. But then he points out some of the details and I go, yeah, not as legit as I initially thought. However, when it comes to this, when it comes to, I don't need anything else. I've got a video camera and the camera's got a microphone. I'm all good. I would 100% disagree. Yes, you have more things to manage. You have a smartphone to manage. You have a stream to manage. You have a recorder, 1 or 2, if you decide to really go with redundancies. have 2 recorders deployed in the field. You have different devices that is capturing data for you. It should not just be one source. You need to have those extra sources. You need to have those extra recording devices in play, audio or video, so that you have something to not only bring forward and say, this isn't just data anymore, this is evidence, but then you have those corroborations. Again, a very scientific approach. It's great if you get a success in an experiment, but if you can't do it a second time, or if you don't have other control experiments happening alongside it to see what the effects are, then you're kind of just going, hey, I learned something neat here. Can you repeat it? Again, that's one of the things that paranormal investigators have to work against. It's hard to repeat this stuff. But if you have something that corroborates across multiple devices, that is still a step forward. Then comes the second thing that you have to do, where you have to see if you can capture this. You have to capture something else. It could be the same thing, could be a different phenomenon. And for me, that example is Linville Manor. I have investigated Linville Manor well over 10 times. Every time we go there, when I think Linville Manor is done surprising me, something new happens. But that's the point. Because I have so many devices deployed in the field, I have that corroboration in place, and I can easily say, this happened again, just as it happened here 3 months before, just as it happened here 3 months prior to that. There's a lot you can take from having multiple devices deployed in the field that are there for recording data. And yeah, things get a little more cumbersome, but it gets a lot harder to debunk. And now I think is a good time. I have a great voice. I can listen to myself talk till the cows come home. But I would really like to open this up for questions, whether it's questions Q&A with just Ted or with all of you. I'd like to go on ahead and hear what you all have to say or what you have to think about the value of redundancy.
Well, I don't know why I'm not. My video is on. Oh, there we go. Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay. I just can't see myself on here, so I'll just pretend like I can be seen. We didn't have any questions from any of the viewers. So I will say this is one of the reasons. Like, I know it's very exciting for paranormal investigators to go out to someplace new, but I think it's important, especially for those of us who live in areas where there are like famous haunted locations. For example, like the USS North Carolina for me,
Right.
or not the USS North Carolina. That's not what it's called. It's North Carolina battleship. To go back as many times as you can, because it's important. Like, yeah, so getting those things in one night is important on different recordings, but also having that experience over multiple times and trying to go as like many times throughout the year as you can. I know with the battleship, we can only go at night, so we're limited that. But I would like to try to go during the spring, during the summer, different times of the year to try to see if any of these experiences happen at those times as well. So I think we often get in the trap of where can we go next? Where can we go next? Where can we go next? And we forget about the places we've already been. Like, we need to go back to those again. Like, for example, the EVP that I sent you to analyze, like, that was a one-hit wonder. Like, I'm going to go back to that location as many times as I can, in many different times as I can, to see if I can get more responses from, if that was someone. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, don't get in the trap of just doing something one time. Like,
it works both ways. It works both ways. Like there was, like, in the first 2 years of Phil and myself doing doing paranormal investigations, Phil kept wanting to go to Gettysburg. It was just quick and easy jaunt. You go to Gettysburg, and I'm going to say something again very unpopular, but I'm just going to double down and say it. when people ask me, so you don't think Zach Baggins is a good investigator? I go, he is the only investigator I know that has gone to Gettysburg and found nothing. You are doing something horribly wrong. It's Gettysburg. It's Gettysburg, man. I mean, you don't even have to try, and stuff just lands in front of you that you cannot explain. Alex took me to this place in Gettysburg that I never heard of, and we went there. And I have not looked at what we shot yet, but I know for a fact there's something there waiting for me to find, because it's Gettysburg, And the thing is, we kept going back to Gettysburg. We went to Gettysburg, and again, I like to tell this story. I had been on this planet for 53 years, and I'd never been to Gettysburg. Not for a school trip, not for nothing. And then in my first year as a paranormal investigator, I went to Gettysburg 7 times. And yes, we should never say don't ever go back to a space. Once you've visited, you move on. But there's also the other side of that, because I just said, Phil, we need to go to other places than just Gettysburg. If we're constantly doing episodes on Gettysburg in our first 2 or 3 seasons, people are going to be like, oh, it's the Gettysburg channel. And I didn't want that. Now, there are some places that I know that I want to go back to. The North Carolina is one of them. Wildwood Sanatorium, definitely I want to go to. But then there are other places that I haven't explored yet that are on my list. The St. Augustine Lighthouse, any lighthouse. I really would love to investigate a lighthouse just to get that experience. At the top of my list is Waverly. And yes, Waverly has been done again and again and again. In the words of Amy Bruni, you don't have to explain to them that these devices won't hurt them. They've seen pretty much every device. And she is absolutely right. But at the same time, the reason why people go to Waverly, even though it has been investigated to the nth degree, they go back because of what is going to happen next. And if Crescent SCI opens up again, yes, I would love to go back there. Yes, I want to go back to the old hospital on College Hill. But I also want to go to certain places that are not necessarily, and this again goes back to redundancy, that are not always visited. The road less traveled, if you will, like for going back to Wildwood. No one had heard of Wildwood, and then I went out there with Alex, had an unbelievable time. And I think since going out there with Alex, I have seen 4 teams similar to Crescent. 4 teams all go, oh, I just got back from Wildwood. It's going to be crazy, And yeah, because it is not Waverly, but in its own way, it's this little gem that people haven't quite. It hasn't gone viral yet. And I tell people, yes, it's great to go back to places, but I would say give yourself some time so you can explore other places. Then you can go back, sit back and go, we don't have to go back there. I'd love to go back here. And then, and just try not to get into a rut. Mm-hmm. That is also, that is a pit I've seen quite a few people get caught in, and you just kind of want to avoid that.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, what a fantastic way to kick off our return to our APS webinars. Huge thanks to T for sharing his time, experience, and his stories with us tonight. And thank you to everyone who tuned in. It's great to be back with you guys. If you enjoyed tonight's webinar, make sure to follow us on Facebook or subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't not miss future episodes. Also, look up Old Spirits Investigations. That's T's organization. Follow them as well. And until next time, good night, everybody.
Good night.